you doing? How you doing? This is the Christopher Williams Show. I am elated and blessed to have you here today. We have a man who has worked at WBLA Tampa, Cron TV San Francisco, Wood TV Grand Rapids, KTVI St. Louis, WFMY TV Greensboro, and also in Richmond, Virginia, and also Columbia, Ohio as well. And he was also an award-winning reporter, Mr. Deon Guillory. Mr. Guillory, how are you doing, man? How is your mental? How is everything?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me. I will say some of those places I have never worked.
Okay. Okay. My apologies. My apologies.
But Columbia, South Carolina, and Richmond, Virginia, I have worked at those places.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah.
got the Columbia part right. I got the Columbia part right.
But what probably, when in your research, what probably may have thrown you off is that some of the stations that I've worked at in the past were owned by big corporations.
Okay.
And so, in a lot of those ownership groups,
Yeah.
the stations share content. So, something I may have done in South Carolina may have been shared in San Francisco or,
Okay.
in some other part of the country. So that might be a part of why there was some of that included.
Okay. Because sometimes, because at first I thought WAFB was their own entity. And first, when calling, like for an internship, they were like, "No,
Uh-huh.
no, this is Great Media." I was like, "Great Media,"
Yeah. Yeah.
just getting confused with that. I'm just like,
Yeah, that's the company that owns the our station and several others across the country, and including WVUE, Fox 8, and New Orleans, and we have a
Okay,
lot of stations across the country. So
okay. So when you got started when you got started as a broadcast journalist, man, you talked about during your school years being a talkative student, talking a lot.
yes.
Did you think that because being a talkative student, you were like, oh, I can make some consumption out of it. I can make some money with this, you know, or having an engagement of the truth, finding information, or having a quest for information.
Um, well, when I was that, so I don't know how it was for you when you were in school,
Mm,
but when I was in elementary, middle, high school, whatever, they gave us conduct grades
mm,
in addition to whatever your grade was for said class.
mm.
And I was always a kid who got C's and D's in conduct because I couldn't shut up. And so at that time, I never thought about, making money off of the fact that I can't be quiet. But I always knew, or always had uh, a want or a curiosity. And I always asked so many questions. And I just remember as a kid seeing some people who looked like me on television, although there weren't many, but I would see. So one person that comes to mind, and I was fortunate enough to end up working with him early in my career, Norman Robinson,
Mm.
who was a longtime anchor in New Orleans. I saw him on TV as a kid, and I was like, okay, there is somebody who looks like me, where, okay, maybe I can do something like this. And so it kind of led up to that. Like when I was in high school, I was the one who did uh, the morning announcements. I, we didn't have a newspaper at my high school, but the closest thing to something like that was the yearbook. Um, and then when I got to college, I worked on the newspaper, and then we had like a television station and
Mm.
internships and you know those things. So that was I guess the slow progression um, to where I am now.
Because a lot of times, man, for me, I started off as like an introvert. I was real quiet, like elementary, uh, close to high school, maybe more talkative in middle school, man. But during those times, I didn't really. I was more talkative when I was at home.
Mm.
They'll call me. well, my parents call me brother. My whole family calls me brother.
Okay.
They'd be like, brother, be quiet. Brother, shut up. I'll just keep on talking. And I realized that I have a lot of mannerisms from my dad, and I'm really good at public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I speak a lot at my church, and I was involved in a lot of local TV stations. Shout out to Southern University. But I found myself, it allowed me not only to become a better broadcaster, but it allowed me to just preach really,
Mm-hmm.
and just show people, okay, God is using me in this capacity,
Right.
and I'm just being a vessel, So every time I'm talking, it's always like something that's motivational.
Mm-hmm. Do
So
you remember when you had, was it like an aha moment where you realized that it was like, oh, okay.
I think I realized it was back in high school,
Okay.
and
See, I can't help myself and
yeah,
ask questions.
I think
Ask
a lot of
questions.
times it's kind of like I would correct people when they have like bad grammar, or
Mm-hmm.
like they can say what's the word?
I'm a self-admitted grammar snob.
Yeah,
Because so, the English is not the easiest
no, it's
language.
not.
So,
No, it's not.
but when I see people use the wrong version of to or there,
Or
yeah, I kind of cringe a little bit. But it's the to and there are the ones that
yeah, yeah,
make me cringe the most.
yeah. Cause I'm just like, man, even um during our like mass communications classes, I think it was like news writing.
Hmm.
You will always she would always correct us. The teacher will always on
Well,
our
that's good.
yeah. She would always correct us on our diction and our speed, just reading and things like that.
Right.
And then every time when my speed was just slow, she was like, "Start over, Mr. Williams, start over." And I
Right.
was just like,
You don't want
"Oh
it too
man,
slow, but you don't want it too fast. So
yeah."
yeah, yeah, because you don't want it to be too slow to where you bore people, and you don't want it to be too fast to where they can't understand you.
Because I mean, you have to captivate the audience. Even just doing this podcast, man. If I'm just reading like, so you worked in city, so that's boring. You gotta be uplifted. You gotta
Yeah.
spread some joy, man. You
Right.
can't just be like, oh, yeah, I'm just reading this. I'm just doing
Right.
this to get a
Right.
paycheck.
Right. It's a little more than that. Yeah.
You gotta have some feelings, some joy that not can only bring people happiness, but allow yourself to bring joy to yourself. you know?
Right. 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 And it's a conversation. Although, a lot of times for what we do, um, you may be only talking to people, but it's still a conversation because
Yeah.
you know they're you're telling people a story and they're retaining the information. And
Yep.
so, although it may be like, oh, I'm doing all the talking, but in order to have a successful conversation, someone talks and someone listens. So
Yep. Because sometimes I have to catch myself like with that, man. Cause I just keep on talking, but then I'm just like, now I over talk on people. I don't mean to, but it's just like if the information is like it's like one thought that I get in my head, and I'm just like,
mhm.
oh, I'm gonna say this, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Right, because you don't want to forget what the thought is.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So going to HBCU like Xavier University, you're given a strict foundation to
Yeah.
live your daily life. How is that strict foundation not only prepare you for where you are in the newsroom, but prepare you for life?
I think one of the big things was really w- learning to communicate and understand people who may not be like you.
Hmm.
Because, when I got to college, and I feel like this is most colleges anyway, but you end up you meet people from all walks of life, from wherever places they came, they're from, that, may if it's a different part of the state or a different part of the country or even a different part of the world, and not everybody lives the same. So being open to understanding how other people live or have lived, and sometimes with that there are still similarities, but I think when I feel as though Xavier really taught me how to, not only be proud of who I am and where I came from, but also be proud and learn about other people and where they came from, and also for them to be proud of that.
Because also just being the HBCU, man, we back in the day we didn't have a lot, and
Right, right.
a lot of us we couldn't go to PWIs to not only get an education, but to provide for our families, provide for our purpose.
Hmm.
And the beauty about the HBCU, just life, it allows you not only to, I'm not gonna say pride, but have appreciation of where you came from,
Right.
but also to look up with your head held high and say,
Hmm.
"Hey, I got my degree."
Right. Because it's not a, a lot of times people there, there are people who are ashamed of where they come from or whatever, but it's not about where you come from, it's where you're going.
Yeah,
As cliche as that sounds, that's reality.
because a lot of times there can be people who hate themselves, and
Right.
it's kind of like, man, hey, God made us with a purpose.
Hmm.
We all have the same blood. We all may be different skin color, but at the same time, you got if God created us to be in His presence, to be who we are, why not be okay with what school you went to? It doesn't matter what school you went to. You got a degree. You
Right.
graduated. If you went to
Right.
PWI, congratulations, you got your degree. But I think the way that we get rid of that self hate is that we not only live in our truth, but be comfortable, be
Hmm.
yourself. You know, The- no person knows you like you do.
So that's
So
true.
so at the end of the day, it is having appreciation and love for yourself, and know that okay, if God likes it, I like it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you just got to keep pushing, keep going, and keep moving in faith.
Hmm.
It's simple as that, man.
Yeah.
Like Kobe said, it's simple as that.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah. So your recent coverage was LSU researchers, a new federal law aid to Louisiana for fentanyl, and CVS for alleged consumer harm. So the situation with the fentanyl,
Hmm.
we have a deep situation in Louisiana, and my father being not just a drug counselor back in the 90s, he's seen a lot of people go through fentanyl, a lot of the other drugs as well, meth, heroin, whatever.
Right. Hmm.
And I feel like, as a reporter, you have opinions. But how do you, like, with reporting these situations, how do you keep your opinions to yourself, but also know that, okay, I'm getting this information out, I'm helping somebody get through this.
Hmm. Because it's not about me.
Mm,
That's how you keep your opinion out of it. It's not about me. It's about whatever the topic is, getting the information, getting the facts, and if it's something that's all along the lines of a dispute or whatever, you get both sides. Some that there are times when one side may not want to talk, but as a journalist, it's your responsibility to at least extend
Mm.
that um, invitation for that person or group or whoever they are
Mm.
to be able to tell their side of the story.
Mm.
But yeah, the stories are never about me. It's about getting the information to the people who one need to see it, because you never know how a story may affect somebody and may change their way of thinking or may change their life in any kind of way. Um, and if it's something that's possibly controversial, you make it as balanced as possible and let the person watching it form their own opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's not my job um to one have an opinion about X, Y, and Z, and then two, it's not my job to influence someone's opinion. I can only provide you with the information, the facts that I've been given.
Mm.
And sometimes, with some stories, you don't know all the facts at the beginning. You know, sometimes if there's an investigation to something, the facts slowly unravel.
Mm.
But you present the facts that you have at the time, and
Mm.
then, whoever's watching, reading, or listening,
Mm.
they form their own opinion.
Because I think also you can think about like in art, right? You have a perception, and
Hmm.
it can be about civil rights. It can be about, hey, that looks like a bird, but it looks like a dog, So
Right. It's
a lot
subjective.
of times, even with me, I get caught up because even as a journalist as myself, I have opinions, and I ask my dad, why this, why is this, and I have to catch myself. Because a
Hmm.
lot of times, like when I'm reporting, even on this platform that I'm on right now, it's hard because it's kind of like I get a mind fog, and I'm just like, oh, I want to give my opinion, but no, maybe I should get my an explanation of what happened, and then it kind of contradicts itself,
Right.
and then I'm just like, oh man, like why am I contradicting myself? I either give my opinion or not.
Hmm.
So I think it's just that's kind of how I report. A
Right.
lot of people have different methods. They just report the news. I
Right.
like to give my opinion, and let the people think about what's going on in the world
Hmm.
or what the situation I'm talking about, you know. So,
Yeah.
but I think, for me, it'd be different in the newsroom because it's just like I'm more of an opinionated type of person. Like I
Hmm.
have to know what happened, then okay, I'm gonna give my perspective.
Right.
But I think I also have to realize because I'm young, there's also a place and time for that, you know.
Yeah. No,
So
that's true.
it's kind of like a read the room moment, and you have to really look around. Okay, they're giving out the information. I have my own podcast where I can give the information. I may be working at a news station. I'm gonna do their job, but when it's my show, I'm gonna give my opinion. you know.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of it. It the least
Well,
is
it
gonna.
well, it also depends on what you're setting out to do. Are you setting out to give out information, or are you setting out to do commentary? Because
Mm.
commentary, that's when you are more open to be able to give your opinion,
Mm.
because it's a commentary on
Mm.
whatever you want to talk about. But
Oh yeah.
when you are more fact based, then your opinion doesn't matter.
Mm. I've been taught about that in school too. It's like Mr. Williams, just state the facts. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Right, right.
But sometimes, even during a lot of different news stories, like for instance, with the 8-year-old boy who was shot, or
Yeah,
during your
yeah,
time during your younger days when you were part of the production team of bringing out Hurricane Katrina. That
yeah.
happened in your state, but you
Hmm.
also from Opelousas, Louisiana. So you're in these situations that are close to home. A child dying, people losing their lives, people losing their livelihoods.
Yeah.
How are you able to not only be empathetic in that moment, but also know that, hey, I'm human. Hey, I have feelings. I'm not just a reporter giving the information. So how
Right.
do you able to not only separate those, but also be in the moment and show the humanistic side?
Um, I think it just depends on what the story is.
Hmm.
Um, because I think when you can really explain to people who are watching, like, especially, so let's talk about maybe like, how a storm or weather will affect people. Everybody in Louisiana has been affected by weather in some
Yep.
kind of
Something.
way. And so I think when people see a story about, like, I think maybe like 2 years ago, I did a story. Um, there are some storms that came through. A tree fell on a house,
Mm.
and the tree fell on his legs, and his wife, for whatever reason, adrenaline or whatever, she was able to pull him from
I remember
under
that. I remember that.
the tree,
Yeah.
and but the house they were living in was damaged from the tree and everything. And but people can relate to that because we have so many trees around, a lot of old trees
Mm.
that are around. And so depending on how strong a storm is, how high the wind is,
Mm.
that could happen to almost any of us. So seeing that, and the I think that the images on top of what those people affected by it say, I think
Mm.
that combination, people hear it, and although they may not be going through it at that time, they most likely know someone who has, or they have gone through it, or they may feel as though, oh, that could possibly happen to me.
Right. Because a lot of times, even doing those things, man, that in the news, like just a man just he was in the ditch and somebody helped him. So it shows not just when you're reporting, but also in the way that you receive it to the people. You
Yeah,
know, like you
because
have.
I think, like, unfortunately, we are living in a time where there seems to be a lot of you know divisiveness, and
Yep.
people are angry,
Yep.
which is one of the reasons why I have a love-hate relationship with social media, because I feel as though the great thing about social media is that it helps you keep in touch with people, friends or family who may be
Mm.
out of town, or
Uh-huh.
other states or
Mm.
whatever. That's the great part of it. Um, what I don't like about it is how a lot of times anybody can just write whatever they want, and someone may believe what that person wrote,
Yep.
and then share it, and then it can just spread like
Yep.
wildfire, and all of a sudden someone may believe something, or people, because they can hide behind, I like to call it, that they have computer courage,
Yep.
that they don't have a picture of themselves up, but they will comment the most negative and vile words on
Yep.
something, just to, I guess, at times get a rise out of people.
Of course.
So yeah, so that's the what I don't like about social media. And but with commenting, though, there are some people who, there are ways to engage with people, and I've had this where people have engaged, um where there, it may not always be positive,
Mm.
but the engagement is where we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Because I always say this, um, our world would be a very boring place if we all agreed on all the same things.
Oh yeah, very boring.
Yeah. So I think, our different ways of thinking and having different opinions about things, or we don't all like the same thing,
Hmm.
that's what makes us unique. And we can share those experiences with other people. And if, you know, someone doesn't agree with it, we could be mature enough to agree to disagree.
Because a lot of times, I watch YouTube channels like Jubilee, and basically, what Jubilee is a conversation. It can
Hmm.
be Christians and atheists, or Republicans versus Democrats, or um, just different things that are going on in the world.
Right.
And but every time there's either like there's two people that walk up, or a couple people that walk up, they had different opinions, and then the order, he will say, if you agree with this, go up. If you're indifferent, sit down. So then they start having a conversation about why they're indifferent, or why they feel they're in between. So
Hmm.
so at the end of the day, I feel like if we not only find a common ground, but we don't have to agree on everything. You
Right.
don't you don't have to like me, but as long as you can respect me and my opinion, we're gonna be all right.
Right.
That goes a long way, man. And a lot of times people think, oh, just because I don't agree with you with this, oh, you hate me now. So it's just kind of like when you're breaking the ice and you talking to people, you got to realize I don't have to agree with everything that you say, but I can at least respect that your opinion at the end of the
Hmm.
day.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing, man. That's the big thing. And when you were talking about, social media and false information, a lot of times there is propaganda. There is, even in our political realms. I'm not trying to get political, but
Right.
in our political livelihood, there is false information.
Hmm.
And how are we able to not only stay politically correct, but also stand on the truth and really realize, okay, that's the truth. This that's not the truth. How are we able to continue in that truth, and even when there is false information or propaganda?
I think it's you. I think we, because of social media and things, because we live in a
Digital age.
yeah, we live in a digital age, but we also live in a world where instant gratification.
Yeah.
So, I think, as a responsible, since we're talking about, political things, as a responsible voter,
Hmm.
if there's a post about some candidate or whatever, why not go to that candidate's website? Because almost every candidate, if they're running for an office, they're going to have a website. They're going to
Of
have
course. Of
something
course.
like that. So, that to me would be, the first step. Also, see who it is that is posting it.
Hmm.
Because if it's their opponent, you know, 9 times out of 10, the person who is running against somebody is not going to post something that is going to help give that other person
Oh
the
no.
edge.
Oh no.
So, um, I'll give you an example, and this is not necessarily a political thing,
Mm.
but I've had friends who have told me about, oh, have you seen this on Facebook?
Mm.
And, be something, whatever.
Mm.
And I'll be like, oh, no, I haven't seen that. Who posted it, or where did it come from? And they're like, oh, somebody. And I'm just like, well, did you not see the original source of it or whatever? And these are friends of mine who know what I do for a living. So,
Mm.
having reliable sources
Mm.
giving you information is the a major part of my job. So it makes me laugh. That hasn't happened in a while, but when it was happening,
Okay.
it would make me laugh. It's like, okay, come on now, let's truly think this through, because just because somebody's posting it
Mm.
on whatever social media platform doesn't necessarily make it true. So I think just taking whatever extra step it is just to look it up. Google is a great tool. You know, a lot of times you can use Google and that'll help clear up some possible confusion or answer some questions that you may have about if something is true or not. So, especially if you see something posted somewhere and it's nowhere else, like that's kind of a red flag, because if something is really true, you'll see it in multiple places. So
because a lot of times I even see it like on TikTok, and they'll be like, "Oh, so and so, something happened to so and so," and then I look at the news and like they're okay. So I'm just like,
yeah,
are they putting a rise out of me so I can be angry all day? you
and
know?
that goes back to, what I was saying before. That's the negative side. That's the downside of social media, that
Mm,
anybody with a phone, a camera, or whatever can create a video or type something, and some people will fall for it. And,
mm.
it's not necessarily the truth all the time.
I think a lot of times we can be lazy, and it's kind of like we'll see information everywhere, but then we won't go to the source.
Yeah.
If we
Well,
don't go,
we also, because of social media and other things like that, we have information overload,
mm-hmm,
because it's coming from you in so many different directions.
yep,
And it's not all necessarily just news, but
mm,
if you scroll on TikTok or
mm,
Instagram or whatever, that's constant information. It
mm,
may not be, pertinent to your life, or, to whatever decisions you may be making, but there's constant information. And also, because of whatever algorithm you're on, or whatever thing
mm.
you may have looked up previously, or, as sometimes people will say, "Oh, I just thought about this," suddenly an ad popped up
Yeah,
because I thought about something. So,
yeah,
there's that goes along with all that. So, a lot of it is just a lot of random things, which and a lot of random things that, kind of going back to, people don't always um, double check where
more to
this
come.
could have come from, or if it's real. Because, so there was a perfect example, and it kind of goes back to the ads thing. There was
Mm,
this, I can't remember the name of the company, but so I was, I think I had bought my plane tickets to go to, uh, this was a couple months ago, but I had bought my plane tickets for a trip that I took just a couple of weeks ago.
mm,
And all of a sudden on my Instagram feed were these ads for luggage.
mm,
And I was like, the luggage looked great.
mm,
And they were talking about how they were having this massive slash off flash sale where it was like
yeah,
75% off this, like, luggage that was supposed to be some of the best luggage ever. And it was like originally $500, and it was only a
mm,
hundred something. And I just looked at it, and first of all, I had never heard of this luggage. And then second, it just seemed too good to be true, because I've done so many consumer scam stories. So I kind of know the warning signs.
yeah,
And so I did a quick Google search of the company,
mm,
because they had, like, of course, all these ads or whatever for these products. They always
mm,
have, like, oh, 5-star review
yeah.
and that kind of thing to entice you. And when I did do the search, the company was legit. I'll give them that.
Thank the
But
Lord
that
for
five
that.
that 5-star review, though, was not, because, like, I saw, like, what seemed to be, you know, um, people who may have bought the product saying, "Oh, it didn't last more than a year, and after a year it started tearing and all that stuff." So I
Mm,
quickly closed the page and didn't look at that luggage anymore. But I think that's another example of how, whatever the algorithm is, it'll put up these things that they believe that you are interested in at the time, whether it is truly what it says it is or not. But because of how we are so into instant gratification, we don't always take that next step to say, hey, is this legit? Are all these people raving about this particular thing like this company says they are?
Yep.
So,
because it can be a lot of times, man, where you have this certain product, right? There was the lady
right.
who made the pink sauce, right? And everybody on social media was like, "Oh, this is the new thing. This is the new
Now
sauce."
wait. So what is this pink sauce?
The pink sauce, the lady, I don't know what the lady's name was, but she was creating this sauce that had a lot of flavors, but it wasn't like when the people got it, it was spoiled. So they were basically,
Oh,
yeah. And then many people got sick because of it. So um it was really, the lady got sued. So
well.
and then she tried to revamp it, but I think the damage was already done. So
So did she go from pink sauce to red sauce, or was it still
no, it
like
was still pink
pink
sauce,
sauce
man. It was still pink
2.0?
sauce. But I don't like. I feel like if you're making a sauce, man, at least have the ingredients in there. Like have it scientifically tested by a
I would
company
hope so.
before you even give it out, because that's really
Especially
gonna make
it's
people sick.
especially food, because yeah,
Yeah,
the last thing you want to do is make people sick, and who knows what effect if someone may have an allergy to something,
yep.
because food allergies are real. So um you just never know how someone's body may react to something they eat,
Facts.
because just because I may not be lactose intolerant doesn't mean you aren't, or vice
Mm-mm,
versa. So
mm-mm. So you gotta really figure that out, man. So you're also part of the NABJ, the National Association for Black Journalists.
hmm
And how has that not only catapulted you where you are today, but how has that given you like a sense of resilience that okay, I see a lot of people that look like me striving not just for the greater good, but to get information out.
it's interesting you mentioned that, because, well, I'm wearing this Cleveland shirt,
Yeah.
which was not on purpose, but um and the trip I mentioned earlier, that was for the annual NABJ conference,
Mm,
and it was in Cleveland this year, so that was like 2 weeks ago now,
mm,
I think. Yeah, but anyway, but the great thing about NABJ is that, one, it it opens up a door to where you see so many people who look like you,
mm,
and may not always, and not only look like you, because they're not only just black people at the conferences, um but it's everybody has the same or a similar mission,
mm,
because we're passionate about journalism,
mm,
and we want to do the best work possible
mm,
to inform people the best way we can,
mm,
and utilizing whatever tools there are out there.
mm,
um there was a AI is such a huge thing right now, and it's constantly changing, and so there are pros and cons of that. And you know some people who may use like some AI applications. I know one that was discussed at the um, I know one that was discussed at the conference was called Otter,
mm. Otter.
where Otter was one that was talked about, and it basically um, not summarizes, but it's like a court reporter in a way, where it types up interviews for you, which helps to save you time, because after an interview, before you put your story together, you have to go back and what we call log it. You go back and listen to it, and you
Mm,
pick out the best sound bites from the interview. And so that AI tool is supposed to help you save time on that part of the process. But, you know, how trusting is it? How accurate is it?
Yeah.
So that's, one of the questions that still lingers about AI and uh, its use. It's scary. It's fascinating because of how incredible technology can be, but it's also scary at the same time because of how, and similar to social media, how people are using AI to do bad. So, um, but uh, NABJ itself, um, it, it's really incredible to see so many people you're surrounded by so many people who have the same mission that you do, and it also makes you realize you're not alone.
Oh yeah, man. Because a lot of times, man, like just being that Southern man, we learn to ask for help. You know that
Hmm.
we not only in mass communications, but just in school. You know,
Right.
we learn to okay, if I need help, I can ask for help, man. I have the people that look like me first
Hmm.
that want to see me succeed and that love me and that want to see me not only do great, but also how can they find ways to help me to reach that goal? You know, I have a
Right.
mentor. Shout out to Dr. Jones. I met her in November, and she's been there with me, speaking just life into me. You know, Chris, you want to be a talk show host? I can get you there. You know, I can help you, and it's a blessing in the skies to see that, man, because a lot of people don't have that.
Hmm.
And when you have help and you don't take those opportunities that God has given you, you kind of just you miss those opportunities. Now,
Right.
sometimes a lot of opportunities are not meant for you because God didn't design them to be there for you. But at the end of the day, man, a lot of times it's a blessing to have those people around you who want to support you, who look like you, who are in the same goal and vicinity that you are.
Hmm.
So for everybody watching out there, ask for help.
Yeah,
Please ask for.
because even the most successful people in the world didn't do it by themselves.
Nope.
Everybody in some form or fashion has had help.
Even the smartest person in the class asked for help.
Yeah,
But some
and
people,
I think the smartest people in the class do ask for help.
'cause a lot of times, we even in high school, a lot of us, even me, I was afraid to ask for help because of people, what other people thought. But then I
Right.
was just like, as I grew up and into the young man I am now, it's kind of like, man, asking for help was a good benefit in my life. Let me keep
Yeah.
asking for help, you know?
Well, and I think a reason why a lot of people are afraid to ask is because they don't like you mentioned, what they're worried about what other people will think.
Yep.
They don't want to look as if, you know, they're dumb, or whatever. But I remember, so in high school, um I I can't I don't understand why now, but at that
Mm-hmm.
time I liked math. Um but the only math class I hated was geometry.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing I remember from my geometry class
Mm-hmm.
is my teacher at the time who used to always tell us the dumbest question is the one not asked.
Yep.
So and that stuck with me. Um, Angles and all that other stuff in geometry didn't
Yeah.
stick, but what those words that she said did. So
Throughout your award-winning career, what has been the most moment of your work? Was it sitting down with former mayor Sharon Western Broom and talking about not just her own career, but the ups and downs like the infrastructure or the times where she felt her life was threatened at times. Was
Yeah.
that really the ones? Was that really the interview that really stood out to you and were like, okay, I really relate to this, or um, I can see the trials that she's going through.
hmm that was that was a great interview. I enjoyed and I appreciated her giving us that access.
Mhm.
I, I think that was maybe her last week or maybe last 2 weeks of
Mm,
being mayor when we did that interview.
mm,
Um, I think it was like she had 2 more weeks in office, and I think
mm,
we aired it her last week. It was something like that.
mm,
Um, but it's interesting you asked this question because I was actually having a conversation about this today. Um, I think one of the most recent stories that really stuck with me, and not necessarily me relating to it or um, me being able to, um, I guess, more of like seeing what I saw. Uh, and I think you mentioned it earlier, but it was the most recent story that's really stuck with me for a while was the story I did about the 8-year-old who was killed on
yeah.
the day before Thanksgiving.
Mm,
And, um, you know, we were there as, the breaking news was unfolding and the investigation was first starting. And I ended up interviewing his grandmother
mm,
several times, and I was able to connect her to another grandmother who had lost her grandson
mm,
by gun violence, and um, we did a story that when they met for the
mm,
first time, and it was I kind of wrote it like it was a sisterhood, um, and as the suspects were arrested through the process,
mm,
we did more stories. Um, so it was of of the most recent stories I've done. That was probably the one that I that has stuck with me the most. And, but on the lighter hand,
yeah, yeah.
um, when I was in South Carolina, I did a story um, about a sheriff's deputy
Mm.
who was actually one of the founding fathers of hip hop.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's lit.
and what's funny was, um, and I didn't know this until after the fact, but I knew
Mm,
his daughter.
mm,
So it was funny, and she was she was a journalist too, because
mm.
I think she went to Xavier as well.
Oh
I can't
wow,
remember, but
that is
anyway,
a coincidence.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
But yeah,
coincidence for sure.
I had no idea that he was her dad, but
Okay.
it was so interesting that he was like one of the early pioneers of this multi-billion-dollar music genre now
Mm,
that and you know some of the some of the words that he said about that time and how it wasn't it was so underground
mm.
and not mainstream, and it was one of those stories that I really enjoyed. I got to meet him at a recording studio, and um, so yeah, that was a fun one.
Mm-hmm. Cause that's really, man, that's really like a what you call it, like a superpower. Like, oh, I'm a top by day, but I also rap at night.
Right, right, right.
Or like when
And
you're a rap.
I think if I remember correctly, like when we did the story, he was going to go back to New York
Mm.
and reunite with his group. And I
Oh
think they were
wow.
going to perform. I can't remember the exact details, but I think there was something about him going back to New York,
Wow.
um, and kind of like going back to maybe like a club they performed at or something like that. I'm more than sure the story is somewhere on the internet. So
Maybe they made a song about how to arrest someone. Maybe I don't know. But that is very interesting, man. Because
yeah,
a lot of times you don't even with speaking with a person, man. You never know. Oh, you do that. Oh, you like, or you do like podcasts. Oh, you can cook. You have a cooking show. You didn't even tell me this. So
right,
it's
right,
it's kind of like a lot of people live double lives, man.
right.
And you,
Well, people are multi-layered. They're
yeah,
just not
multifaceted. Yeah.
one thing, and I think that's what fascinates me about people, and that's why
Mm.
I think I love talking to people, and that's why I can't shut my mouth. It's because you just having a conversation,
Mhm.
um, you just learn from people, which I think goes back to what I was saying before. Is like when
Mhm.
you can respect people who didn't grow up or um, live the way you live.
Mhm.
But I think at the end of the day, all people want is just to be able to live, be happy,
Yep.
and love their family. I
Yep.
think I think that's I think that's I guess the most simplified version of what life is for, at least in my mind.
That's that's
Um,
that's the goal for everyone, man. Because
yeah,
you got to realize, man, every day is a blessing, and every day there's a choice. You can either be sad or be depressed, and it's kind of like, man, if God's allowing me to wake up another day, be just present and live and breathe,
right,
I have no complaints.
right. Well, and that's why I always say it never hurts to either to smile at somebody or just say hello or good morning, because
Yeah,
you just never know how their day may be going, and that
that's a sense of calm.
uh right, and that
Yeah,
that smile or
yeah,
that you know n- nice greeting could
yeah,
could change someone's day for the better. So
yeah. Not only that, their life, man.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I pride myself on that, man, because God has put me in positions in people's lives not only to give them wisdom, but to give them hope and say, "Oh, you're gonna be all right," And it's hard because a lot of times when you're around negative things, it's kind of like it irks you. He's like, don't talk like that, man. Be positive.
hmm
Because every day that you wake up, man, it's a blessing. Every day that we have waking up is a blessing that God gives us. We have choices that we make in life. Yes, none of us are perfect, but it's acknowledgement. It's
yeah,
acknowledgement of where we're at in life and how do we push forward. You
yeah.
know,
None of us are perfect.
no, no, you have to have the realization of that, bro. Because a lot of times, to even in media, when you're trying to appease a lot of people that you work with or appease just people, there's always going to be, oh, what's next? Oh, what's next? There's never going to be like this gratification, but you're getting from these people that is just it's short.
Yeah,
The people may like you one day, they may not like you another day because you didn't do what they wanted you to do, or they peer pressure you into being in that situation. So it's kind of like having a realization that, man, hey, I'm living in the moment, man. My life is not perfect, but I'm happy, you know. And that's all that matters, man. At the end of the day,
yeah,
you know, your legacy, man. You've been at a lot of locations in your career, and there are also the OGs of WAFB, right? There's Isaiah Carey, who's at who's in Houston,
hmm
who
the
has his
the
own
Isaiah factor.
the Isaiah Factor, who has his own talk show. They have Donna Britt, God rest her soul. So, how are you able? Do you think because you're at WAFB that there is not only in the state of Louisiana, one, that there is a greater responsibility or a greater work within yourself to carry on their legacies, or you're trying to build your own legacy for someone else, such as me?
Well, I think just in journalism, period, there's a major responsibility.
Mm,
It's um, there are a lot of components that go with it before you can even, or how you write a story or how you tell a story, because there are times when people will comment on a story and say, yeah, let, let's say it's a crime
mm-hmm,
story or whatever, and they'll be like,
mm,
yeah, that person did it. But in my world, I can't say that. I can't say someone committed a crime. I can
mm,
only say that police believe this
mm,
person did it, or they
mm,
are accused of,
mm.
because in our world, in our country, we have a judicial system, and so people are innocent until proven guilty. And
Yep.
so, until someone has gone to trial,
Mm,
and the jury has made their decision, so, like, now if the jury says this person is guilty,
mm.
then the story changes to convicted, let's say convicted murderer,
Yeah.
whatever, or
Mm.
whatever. So and a lot of people love to say, or they may not understand that we
Mm.
have those rules that we have to follow. Because if we say someone murdered someone,
Mm.
and we don't attribute it to police
Mm.
or someone like that, and they have not gone to trial yet, and there's a possibility, because trials, that's a whole different animal, because you
Yeah.
just never know
Yeah.
what the outcome is going to be.
Mm.
But if we convict someone before they went to trial, that opens us up for lawsuits, and so
Yeah.
that's irresponsible. And so we can't do that. So I think, because just journalism, period, there's a standard there.
Mm.
As far as um, at WAFB, we have such a high standard of quality and high standard of excellence. Um, I've told my bosses this many times, that I am so grateful to be in that newsroom. Like, I love it there, and I'm not just saying this just because you know this is being recorded and
Yeah.
I work there.
Yeah.
But I truly do uh, love where I work. I love the people I work with.
Mm.
Um, and because we deal with some heavy stuff, and so we joke around, we laugh and do those types of things, because newsrooms are newsrooms are special places. I'll just put
They
it
are.
that way. Um, but it truly is an environment that I love being in, and the people I love being around. And um, I think that's the legacy in itself, that being able to do and tell the stories that I do in a place like that. Um, I just hope, like, whatever people think of me, or
Mm.
however they want to think about me, I would just, I guess, just thinking about it right now, my hope and dream would be like, he just hoped to tell the truth
Mm. 'Cause you gotta.
through his stories, because that's, you know I can I the only way, especially the types of stories I do, the only way I can really do my job is by putting out whatever the facts that are provided to me. That I can only use that.
Yes, sir. But man, I am so grateful that you
Oh,
not only allow me the opportunity to have your time, but allow just a brother as yourself that given the opportunity as I want to be in your position one day, you know. But it's a blessing that I was able to talk to you today, man, and I'm grateful that you came on the show, not only giving us a snippet of who you are as a person, what your morals, what your standards, whatever that you stand for. I am humbly grateful.
Oh,
Thank you, man.
oh,
Thank you.
well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is the first, and it's so weird, and I've heard people say this before, but it's so weird for a person who is so used to asking questions being asked questions.
yeah, yeah. It is different, man, because it's kind of like when you see like a person on TV, man, and it's kind of like, oh, yep, oh, I forgot about that. Yep, I did do that. Yep.
Right, right.
So it is it. I think it podcast not only is therapeutic to me, but it allows all of us just to get to know each other. You know, because some
Hmm.
people may be extroverts, some people may be in not confined to different areas of life. But it's kind
Right.
of like, man, podcast is just a conversation. You're just sitting down, talking about your life, and kind of giving a snippet of who you are as well. So it's great to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was great, and I appreciate you extending the invitation.
Yes, sir. So is there any shout outs that you want to make? Any news that's coming out for you?
I go back to work tomorrow, so
No, that's good.
um, I don't know. I think I just each day I try to challenge myself
Hmm,
and whatever that is. And
hmm,
one thing I do because you know I know I don't know everything,
hmm,
but I'm a self-proclaimed news nerd. Like
hmm,
I love news. Um, and I actually watch television stations from other parts of the country,
hmm.
and especially like major markets like Chicago and Washington D.C. and
California.
Atlanta, Philadelphia, L.A. And I try to um, take this here and this there and
Hmm.
kind of incorporate it into what I do and make it my own. And so um, I think in life, no matter what your career is or what your path is like, you're
Hmm.
always a student. And I think I'm always a student of journalism,
Hmm.
of storytelling,
Hmm.
um, to always try to continue to not only elevate myself, but also elevate the people in the
Yeah,
stories that I'm telling.
because you always got to be. You always anything, man. Like even with my podcast, but you gotta even when you're working, you gotta make it your own. You gotta have like your own je ne sais quoi or your own.
Right.
I don't know if I'm using it right, but your own style, man. That is authentically you. Like before I do the show, I say, "How you doing? How you doing?" It's the Christopher Williams Show. I'm being authentically me. This is
Yeah.
what I do on my
Yeah.
podcast. Where I wear suits. I think that's professional, you know. So it's kind of like when you
And I
are.
told you before we started that I felt underdressed.
I know, I know, but
But
a lot of times,
this is how I am when I'm off. So, I am t-shirt and shorts. Like
um,
that's me when I am not at work. So, but when I'm at work, I'm in a suit. So, it is
you
what it
gotta.
is. That's
Hey,
I guess that's giving people the two sides of me. So,
hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. But because usually for me, every day, like even on campus, 'cause I graduated in mass comm from Southern, and every day I'm wearing a suit. You know, if
mhm.
it's 80 degrees now, I'm still wearing the suit, but I have my water and everything, so I don't
Right.
pass out.
Oh,
You
I've
know?
been in this heat in the suit, so I know how it is back sweat and all. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
It's real. It's real
yeah.
for anybody who because with something like this, people can see it anywhere. But if you have never experienced South Louisiana heat, I challenge you to just do it for maybe like a couple of days. Like just
Ooh.
any part of South Louisiana, visit it in August. Don't do July, although July is hot. Do it in August.
To December.
And just just um just
Just try
take in the sponge
Yep.
that is the mugginess of the humidity.
Yes.
Because I know, like a couple of days ago, I was walking from my car in the parking lot at work to the door to the building, and I was sweating in my suit.
Even during the mornings, man, it's crazy.
Well, the problem is that with that, when the mornings are so hot, is because we don't cool down at night. So the temperature doesn't really go down at night. So the mornings start off steamy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like I took my shower and everything. Then like now I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 showers a day. Yeah. Gallons of water. Yeah. Oh yeah. Water, sunscreen. Mm-hmm.
The sunscreen
All that.
I need to work on.
A mister. I actually on my desk, I have this fan that has like a little thing that has water in it. And what it is a mister. So there's like a little button on the back that you press, and like the water comes through the fan. I need to it's just sitting on my desk at work, but I used to put that in the refrigerator so the water could be cool, and then I would just use it outside. But I need to start using it again. And I'm just letting it sit on my desk.
Oh wow. But man, I am just so grateful that you took out your time just to do the show with me, man. It's a big opportunity for me, and I'm just grateful, man. Anytime that you want to come on the show, I'm gonna give you my information.
All right.
We can just lock in. We can just talk for hours. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm talking myself. So, but thank you for coming on the show, man, and you have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, folks, this was Mr. Deon Guillory, a man of conviction, a man of faith, and I'm grateful that he's taken the time on me, with me. I'm sorry, I'm jumbling my words, but I'm grateful that he's taken the time with me on this podcast, not only to talk about his life and career, but the impact that he's made for others. This is the Christopher Williams Show. Like, comment, subscribe. At the bottom, it says subscribe to the Christopher Williams Show YouTube channel. I'm your handsome, slender host, Chris Williams. Luke 137 says, faith does not make things easy, but makes things possible. God bless you. May God keep you. Love you guys. Peace.